Hey, it's Rolando G. I'm back. I didn't want to get back on this topic to continue my chronological assessment and commentary about David Frank, one who played Tommy Oliver on hit show Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the original 1993 to 1998. I want to assume if that was, because like I said, the show continued well on after that, and it was, I think, him and Kimberly were the only mainstays since then. So Amy Jo Johnson is co-star. Now on the screen here, I didn't show her in the last video because the last commentary was about just taking things very personal when it comes to people not loving you anymore, and it does hurt, and why we as men need to kind of be careful of giving our hearts to a lot of these females out here, because a lot of them after a while just get bored and then they want to move on to the next guy. Women are just, as they say, hypergamous. Well, I think women are hypergamous more in the Western society than it is in other cultures mostly. And women are taught to, the man has to provide, but are we living in that type of situation anymore here in the United States or the Estados Unidos? I don't think we are. I think it's a different level of situation because a lot of women are getting corporate paying jobs, better wages in some ways, though society wants to say women are still paid less than men. I think that's a whole bunch of crock. I haven't looked at the real statistics on that. But that's not what this is about. This is about my assessment about what David Frank was probably going through when you're married for the second time. I don't know what it is. I'm not going to speculate because I've never been married. But you think things are going to be better the second time around in a secondary marriage. And this is why this is I don't want to say this is a MGTOW thing, not a SYSBM. This is for every man out here, black, white, Jewish, whatever your race is. We as men in general tend to put a lot of emphasis on women. I know I do. I'm still looking for a serious relationship, a steady girlfriend, not as much as a wife, but somebody who's in my corner that, loves the things that I love, loves to make love and have sex, of course, I'm not going to lie about that. But at the same damn time, finding common ground within the relationship to still be our own individual person, with the aspects of still coming together and being as one and have a union with each other and a connection that will be sincere and endearing. And how I feel about this situation with David Frank, may he rest in peace, is that Tammy did not love him the way I think he viewed her loving him. I think that he was trying to hold on as best as he could, but he knew somewhere she was not satisfied. And women like Tammy Frank, I don't want to speculate too much on this woman, but they're the type of female, in my opinion, that they're looking for the next big thing. They've had this thing for a while now. Now they're tired of it. And I'm not saying she was technically tired of him, but there was something going on. And now, because of this, in the aftermath, she's went straight to Twitter, straight to social media, stating how much she loved him, how much she cared about him. But is it really endearing? Is it really endearing? Is there real validity in her heart that would say that she really means that? I think she's trying to save face. I think she's trying to not want a bad negative light put on her because she was the driving force behind uh, the self-deletion that he did. And at the same time, as we all know, this is just facts, straight up facts, that we know that women are not held accountable in our society. No woman is held accountable in our society in the current state of things as the world as we know it in these current times. Women are always treated like they're the damsel in distress. They're the ones that are the victims all the time. But men, we never get our just due when we're the ones that are victimized. And up until my 40 years of living, I have not experienced that, but I've experienced it with my own family, the ups and downs of that. And now that I'm in my early 40, I'm taking into account looking at these relationships. Even though they are very heavily publicized, I use celebrities as a vessel to look at how my life is going to be like, because our lives can be just like these guys. Not so much people, and when you have yourself in the limelight constantly, not always, Jason David Frank was kind of underground after a while, after, those who still followed the Power Rangers and the Power Ranger lore and continuation of other, Rangers and Turbo and all that other kind of stuff that, that they came back to affiliate themselves with that same franchise and genre, but with a different type of, setting and characters. But David Frank, like most men, looks for, he's like every man out here. He's looking for stability, a wife that can hold him down, a well mentally stable partner that can travel on the journey with him to when he gets older, they'll still be together. And that does not exist within the Generation X generation. And you have to understand, him and Tammie are both part of that Generation X aged. And you would think they would learn it from the greatest generation or the baby boomer generation. And the baby boomer generation has a more good beat on it some ways, as the greatest generation are the silent generation era of older people who have kept it together, who have learned how to keep a marriage together. And in my generation, the early born millennials to Gen YZ millennials, we have no clue about that. But I have that clue because I still believe in real love. Real love, respect, adoration, commitment, and endearment still exists within women out here, but not very much in the United States, because we are in a capitalist, financial, everything has to be about financial stability and gain type of society. And when you are in that type of environment, it's all about getting by. And if you don't got it, you can't have that blessed enough relationship to move up to the next level, a joining, capable, amicable partner that you can say, man, you know what, we've been through the worst. And my thing is, when you get into a relationship like Tammie and Jason David Frank, you're coming from two different situations. You would have thought you would have learned from those two different intimate, serious relationships you had before with your various other partners, that, okay, let me not allow this to go on within this relationship. And it sounds like they weren't into any type of counseling. They were probably just getting into, I didn't hear anything about marriage counseling. I didn't hear anything about that. But the thing about it is, Tammie made her decision, and now she wants to try to save face to make her not look like the bad guy. Women do this a lot, because yet again, what is the moral of the commentary here on my channel as I'm doing this video? I'm saying that women are not held accountable to the accountableness that we are held by. See, men are held by a higher accountability. You see in the media, especially with African American or Afro American black men, we don't get the same as a Caucasian man does. I mean, once we're placed as the deviant of the story, the evil one, that's how we're looked at. But in the case, Jason David Frank, he's more mixed. He's half Native American, so he is somewhat of a half minority in some cases. But at the same time, outside of that, he was a man that was hurting. And we could be in the same position as him in a relationship where the so-called spark is gone, the so-called support and endearment and long suffering of this individual who we call our mate, our female mate, is becoming less and less disinterested in what we got going on and doesn't care. And there's a time when these American women get into that mode. Now, I'm saying American women because I know American women are known for this. This is why I'm so afraid to get into a relationship with a fellow American female. It's just not that, I've told you guys how women are very standoffish these days. Even if I come close to getting with somebody, with a fellow Western woman, is it going to go well? Is she going to really be into me? Or am I just another, I won't say a notch under her belt in female version, but am I just somebody that she just want to play around with for a minute and then she wants to move on to the next guy? You see what I mean? And I believe that Jason David Frank was a genuine guy. I believe he was very, he was a very good husband. He had his probably, his inconsistencies, but to the point, I didn't hear about anything about domestic abuse coming from him. It sounds like she was the dominant one in the relationship, because from what I heard, there were rumors that there were ear and eyewitnesses that she was berating him and degrading him when they had their two separate rooms at that Vegas hotel or whatever they were at, trying to so-called patch things up to get the marriage back together, whatever that was. And now it's almost like she's trying to play like I'm the victim and he did this to himself and I didn't want him to do this. But you have to understand what led to this, Tammie, is that you didn't care anymore. And simp or no simp, he was in a committed relationship. And once you're in a committed relationship, to me, simp thing goes out the door. So I disagree with Coach Greg Adams, because Coach Greg Adams, you may have been married and you can speak on this, but when a man has invested himself, this is a natural thing that we all do as human beings. We can't live alone. We don't want to live alone sometimes. And sometimes we feel like that's the best thing to do, and sometimes it is. But then again, we are not designed to be alone. We are designed to have a heterosexual, intimate partner that we can walk life with without being alone. And this is why when I came into this MGTOW and red pill thing, I was like, wow, okay, I get it. But men still desire this blue pill, as this so-called blue pill thing. And the blue pill thing is natural. It's not to be hated on, And I, as a man, still want a committed relationship in some ways. I don't want the ideal relationship of marriage too much, or commercialize it in front of everybody just to have witnesses. No, I want an intimate relationship with somebody that finds me attractive, finds me intriguing, finds me desirable, finds me that I'm a good life mate partner with them, where we can work together and we can move up together and try our best to make this relationship very amicably as possible, because I'm not because I'm one of the most easiest going guys. And I think women, to me, are missing out on a guy like me, but that's neither here nor there. I can't predicate that. The woman, at the end of the day, is going to have to make that decision. And I hate when we have these PUAs, these pickup artists, these players, all these guys on YouTube and these books and stuff. These women genuinely are looking for life partners too. Sometimes, not everybody's, looking to get laid unless they a nympho and they get into the adult industry. those are the ones you should be trying to holler at that are more open-minded to getting like that from another guy. Because those are the ones, but those are hard to find. Because nowadays you can't even detect even if a woman wants sex like you do sometimes. Because either they look down upon it, or they're not down with it like that, or they don't want to seem like they don't want to be a slut, or, you know, that type of thing. But undercoverly, a lot of women are nymphos at heart and want to get it on just like you want to get it on. But that's another topic, another story. We're talking about intimate, serious relationships that are in a commitment of husband and wife, paramour. And in this case with JDF Frank, what he did is a selfish act. It is. But the hurt that he was going through, we can't probably even fathom. You know? And because of that, I can't knock him for wanting to continue in a relationship such as like this. But he probably has his reasons. But at the same time, there was other underlying issues that he was personally dealing with. And I think it was not just his marriage. I think that his creations and everything he was coming up with were not working out for him. You know, he had long been, you know, done with the series, you know, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers since the mid to late 90s and early 2000s, when he was still kind of coming up in some of the little, you know, continuations of the lore and the, you know, heroes that were in that base of that show. But he was lacking something, and his inner spirit and his mind were just done. He was just done. I don't know who else out there could have really lowered his inability to of his self-esteem. There was something more going on, but the marriage really hit it hard when Tammie went for a divorce. Now, like I said again, playing the victim, playing like she had nothing to do with it. She had everything to do with it. Because when a man has everything falling apart around him, he needs that amicable, loving partner to still be there for him when everything else is not going right. You know what I'm saying? But some people just don't have the strong ability to be MGTOW, to go red pill sometimes. A lot of men are not. We're all built different. And JDF Frank was an individual that was built to be in a serious relationship. And it's unfortunate he wanted to try the second time around. He did with Tammie Frank. His first wife, I don't know what happened with that, but this was his current situation. And I just got to say, women, take accountability in these relationships that you do to men. Try your best to take accountability, because men are hurting. Men are hurting out here. And there are good men out here that are trying their best. And when you got good men to a certain degree, like JDF Frank, who's been an actor, a great martial artist, once self-deletion is in tow, it's not far that you are the one that's culpable of reinforcing that downward spiral. That you're that edge that he just needed to make that decision. Even though it wasn't your fault, but still, you were that vessel. And don't be the vessel. Be the one to comfort, even if you don't want to be with him. You got to comfort these men, you know, in some kind of way. Got to let them know that, you know, he did have a purpose for because he was only 49, you know. I just turned 40, you know. But anyway, that's just my thing. This situation is really tough. Don't know more what to say about it. Just like I said, guys, you know, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, be more loving with one another, man. Because this life is all we have, and once it's done, it's done. All right, I'm Rolando G. Peace. Till next video.